Hello bookworms! Today I'm here with a video about the top 10 books that I want to get when I go to BEA. I am so excited. BEA is like one of my favorite events of the year and I'm so excited that I'm going to be going. It's a lot further away this year. It's in Chicago, so I'm really looking forward to next year when it comes back to New York, which is my home. That'll be a lot easier on me. But anyway, I digress. It'll be fun to go to Chicago. I've been there before and it's a really cute place. It's kind of like a clean, quiet New York. If it wasn't so cold, I might even consider living there. But anyway, I'm here to talk about books. So here we go. The number one book on my list, like by far more than anything else in the world at BEA that I have to get, is Rebel Genius by Michael Dante DiMartino. This book is a book that is written by the co-creator of Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's one of the best TV shows ever, so I immediately knew that I had to get it. Like, as soon as I heard that he was coming out with a book, I was like, I am in. So I'm so excited about this one. It's a new fantasy series, and it follows a young boy, I believe he's like 12 years old, and they live in a world where art is like outlawed, but every person that is an artist has a bird-like creature that kind of follows them that's called a genius, and if they are discovered with a genius, they could be killed. So this boy discovers that he has a genius, and then he finds a like hidden civilization of other people with geniuses where he's able to practice art with them and not worry about his life. So he goes to do that, and then there ends up being a person that is going after these tools that if they acquire all three of them, they will be able to destroy the world. So obviously they can't let that happen, and it's gonna be an epic journey and quest and adventure, and it's gonna be like Avatar, and I'm gonna love it, and that's number one on my list. Next, I really want to pick up Three Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. This book is really interesting because it is about three sisters, and only one of them is destined to be the queen, and the one that will be the queen is the one that can kill her other two sisters first. I really loved Kendare's other series, her Anna Dressed in Blood duology, and I listened to a podcast that she was interviewed on, and she discussed Three Dark Crowns, and I have wanted to read it since then because I think that's a really cool concept for a book. And all three sisters grew up away from each other in different areas. So obviously everyone has a very different upbringing. It's the first time that they're ever going to be coming in contact with their sisters, and they're tasked with murdering them. And the story was actually inspired by bees, which is really cool because bees, there are three like potential queen bees that are born, and whichever one is the one that survives is the one that rules. So she decided to take that and make it applicable to humans, and it just sounds really good to me, and I'm really hoping that I get that one. That one is number two, right under Rebel Genius. Not all of these are ranked, but those two are ranked. The next book on my list is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I've been wanting to read this one since I've heard it compared to The Night Circus, which is one of my other favorite books. They recently revealed the cover of this book, and it's beautiful. Like, it made me want to read it even more. It follows a girl named Scarlett who lives on this island with her father and her sister, and her entire life has just dreamed of seeing Caraval, which is this traveling circus type thing, and they put on a performance and the audience interacts. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and then her father decides to arrange a marriage for her, and she feels like she's never going to get the opportunity to see Caraval before anything happens, so she wants to get involved, and then she starts getting help from someone, and then her sister gets kidnapped by the organizer of Caraval, and it turns into this whole like mystery, and they need to try to find her sister, and it's like they could say it's like a game of murder and mystery and entertainment, and it just sounds really intriguing. And it was probably one of the books that I knew about the latest that I thought sounded like it had the most intriguing premise, so I have really high hopes for this one. Next on my list is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. Obviously, Marissa Meyer is very well known for the Lunar Chronicles, and she is now tackling another retelling. This one is going to follow the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. It's a prequel to her story before she became the evil queen that we know of in the Wonderland world. It follows her as a young girl who really just wants to fall in love. She owns this bakery in the world that she lives in, and all she wants to do is just provide the kingdom with pastries and baked goods, and she wants to fall in love on her own terms, whereas her mother really wants to marry her off to become the next queen, and she's not into it, and then she goes to a ball, and I'm sure it's gonna be wonderful because the Lunar Chronicles was wonderful, so yes, it has to be by that logic. Next on my list is A Torch in the Night by Sabaa Tahir. It's the second book in the An Ember in the Ashes series. An Ember in the Ashes was originally supposed to be a standalone novel, and then it was announced that it would be getting a sequel. So I'm unsure if there's going to be a third book as well, but it's definitely going to have the second book. So there will be spoilers if I talk about this one, and I can't do that because I actually haven't read the first one yet. But it's in my TBR for May, and I'm planning on getting to it like ASAP because I really want to pick this one up and be able to read the full story like in 1 week-ish, or less than a week, or however many days it'll take me to read both books back to back. The next book on my list is The Reader by Tracy Chee, and this is a book that follows a girl whose father is murdered, and then she goes off in search of her aunt, and she finds her, and then her aunt trains her in like survival skills, and she lives in an illiterate society, but then her aunt goes missing and she needs to put those survival skills to practice, and she ends up finding a rectangular object, which she later discovers is a book, and it is something that is completely unheard of in the world that she lives in. There is no one that is able to read a book. So it's a really different and interesting object to her, but it's the only clue that she has to try to figure out what happened to her father and to find her aunt. And then she meets a dark and mysterious stranger, and that person begins helping her try to find her aunt. So, sounds cool. The next book on my list is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I got her last book, Everything Everything, at BEA last year, and I adored it, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what she's going to be putting out next, since that was her debut novel, so I don't have any other books by her to read until now. So this one follows a pair of teenagers who happen to meet each other one day on the street in New York City, and they both are people that never believed in like falling in love with someone immediately, but it happens, and then they kind of start questioning everything that they know. Like, the girl is very into science and facts, and unfortunately her family is about to be deported back to her home country of Jamaica, so this is something that she doesn't want to deal with, and she can't believe that she's in this situation now. And the boy is like a boy that's always been a model son. He's a great student, and he is also someone that never expected this to happen, but this love of his for her turns him into some sort of poet, and it just sounds really beautiful. And actually, I want to read the last line of the synopsis because it's just so pretty. It says, "Every moment in our lives has brought us to this single moment. A million futures lie before us. Which one will come true?" The next book on my list is Replica by Lauren Oliver, and this book is really cool. It actually has 2 covers because you can read it either from one character's perspective or from the other character's perspective, or you could read it from both. But so there is one character whose father works at this lab, and she has been kept kind of in captivity her whole life. She's been diagnosed with something, she's unable to leave, but she finds out that her father is involved in some kind of scheme that's going on at this laboratory, so she decides to leave where she's spent her whole life and try to search out for the truth. And then on the other side, then there are 2 people at this like laboratory. One is named Lyra, and then the other one is only known as number 24 because they're given numbers. And the 2 of them escape Haven, and they end up running into Gemma, and then the 3 of them are trying to figure out what is actually going on at this place. The government has set up this lab to try to test all of these people with neurotoxicity in an effort to find a universal vaccine that could potentially save like the world, but obviously there are some other things going on. So it just sounds really cool, and it just sounds like a really interesting way to read a book that you kind of have 2 options of who you want to read from. The next book on my list is Stealing Snow by Dorothy Page. This is the first book in a new series, and it follows a girl named Snow who has spent her whole life at a mental institution in New York City, and she is convinced that she's not crazy and that she has another view of the world and that her view is the correct view. So she somehow manages to escape, and she runs into the woods, and then she realizes that life is not what she thought, and that she is actually somebody that is slated to inherit a kingdom, but she's kind of on the run from her royal family, and it just sounds like it's going to be really good. It starts with telling how Snow will eventually become a villain, a queen, and ultimately a hero. So it sounds really interesting, and I really love fantasy, and obviously this is kind of based on Snow White. So I think it sounds really fun, and I am looking forward to picking it up. The last book that I have on my list is The Thousandth Floor by Katharine McGee. This one actually comes out the latest. I believe it comes out in 2017, but it sounds really, really interesting, and it kind of sounds like something that's a little bit Pretty Little Liars-esque, but it has like a sci-fi vibe to it because it actually takes place in the year 2118, and it follows a group of like privileged Manhattanites, obviously teenagers, who live on the 1,000th floor of a new Manhattan skyscraper, and that's obviously like the tallest skyscraper ever. There is a girl who falls to her death from the 1,000th floor, and from there it makes this whole investigation come about, and it sounds like it will be really entertaining and really quick paced and action packed, and I love a good thriller, so I think this one sounds really, really cool. So those are all of the books that I am, well, no, actually that's not true. These are not all of the books that I'm planning on getting at BEA, but these are the ones that I am most interested in from all of the extensive lists that I looked through. So I'm going to try to like make these ones a priority and grab them. And then also, so if you happen to be going to BEA, I'm actually going to be on a panel there, which I keep forgetting to say in videos for some reason, but it's going to be a panel about digital influencers and publishing. So it's going to be me, Stephanie from Cuddlebuggery, and there's going to be a publicist from Bloomsbury and a publicist from Macmillan, and we're just going to be talking about the relationship between publishers and book people online. Like, some of the things we'll be covering are ways that you can get ARCs and ways that you build relationships with publishers and just all of the different steps that really go into building that relationship. So it should be really fun. I'm really excited to be on it. I'm so excited to go to BEA and to see everyone, and I just can't wait. So hopefully I will see some of you there, and if not, I will see you in a new video soon. Bye!